friends, this is the Miss Wolfie from Our Half Acre Homestead. Well, Papa and I have been butchering. We decided we didn't want to overwinter a lot of stock this year because we're looking at another bad winter. Even though we have the wood stove in the addition, we still don't want to lose a lot. We'd rather have it in the freezer. So, and Duddy was 8 years old, so Duddy is ground meat. So what I'm going to do, instead of just packaging up all this ground meat, I'm going to make meatloaves and meatballs. And I'm going to cook them, and then I'm going to freeze them. Because one of the wonderful things about having a frozen cooked meatloaf in the freezer, you can take one of those out, pop it out of the foil, put it in your crock pot, surround it with carrots and potatoes, whip up some gravy, pour it over top, put it on low, and go about your day. And the same goes for meatballs. Meatballs are a very versatile thing. So, say I got about 15 pounds of meat here and about 10 cups of breadcrumbs. So I'm going to use 6 eggs, 10 cups of breadcrumbs, 15 pounds of lean ground meat, and I don't know, about a cup of my homestead steak sauce, some granulated garlic, some dehydrated onions, and some salt and pepper. So let's get to it. Okay. First and foremost, let's get our gooey stuff in there. Now you can use ketchup if you want. You can use steak sauce of your own brand. I just like my homestead steak sauce. This is from I made this in 2012. I think this is what's the last of it actually. I'm going to run a little bit of water into this. Okay, let's try that. That's a little better. That's actually more the consistency of store-bought. So I'm going to say a good cup of steak sauce. I'm going to add some pepper, not too much because this steak sauce has some nice peppery flavor to it. Half a cup of dehydrated onion flakes, granulated garlic, and about a tablespoon of salt. Now I'm going to start putting in breadcrumbs. I have 10 cups of breadcrumbs here, probably about 12 slices or so of bread. I'm making the smaller ones only because Papa and I, it's just us, and if we had company I could always put 2 out. All right, I'm going to get my hands in here, folks, because this is way too big for my KitchenAid to mix. So I'm going to shut the camera off while my hands are still clean, and we'll be back when I have this all mixed up. Okay, folks, this is really meaty, and I've run out of breadcrumbs, and I think I'm going to add about a half a cup of grits. You know why? Because someone told me they're really good with meat, so let's just sprinkle some of these wonderful grits on here. Thank you, John. I'm also going to add several more eggs, 2 more eggs anyway, because I forgot I may be making 9 meatloaves, but there's going to be leftover for meatballs, and we really want to make sure everything holds together well. So I'm just winging it. You figure out how much meat you have, and then do your favorite meatloaf recipe according to per pound of meat. I'm kind of winging it as usual. I'll be back when I've finished mixing this up. Okay, so here's our 9 pans. Now they're about the size of a pound of butter. And here's our bowl of meatloaf. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to start to fill them. You want to preheat your oven to 325 degrees. This will be a nice little dinner for Papa and I. It's really not easy to cook for, when you're used to cooking to, anywhere from 3 to 5 people, to get down to cooking for 1 or 2. But this would work really well too if you're a single person. If you're a single person, the other half, you could eat half of one of these for dinner, and the other half you can put right into slices. Like you could slice it up for your sandwiches the next day. If my sons come to visit and they're on their way home, I can take a couple of cooked meatloaves out of the freezer and pop them in their hand and say, here, have a meatloaf when you get home. And because you know what? My sons have crock pots. Are you kidding? They're my sons. I'm going to pop these into a 325 degree oven for 35 to 40 minutes. All right, we'll see you when these come out of the oven. Don't these look good? My goodness, and I have an entire tray of meatballs to bake next, which I'm going to put in the 325-degree oven for 20 minutes. Okay, our meatloaves have cooled down enough to handle. I'm going to put them in some BPA-free plastic bags, and all I'm doing is I'm taking one of my meatloaves and I'm sliding it down in sideways, and I'm snugging it up nice and tight. Now you can use twist ties if you want, but my experience with twist ties is they fall off a lot in the freezer. So I just leave enough bag so that I can tie a knot. Okay, now let's do our meatballs. Now like I said, folks, you put as many in the bag as suits your family. It's just Papa and I. You can always take out more than one bag out of the freezer if you have company. But for the most part, it's just Papa and I. And that's just fine. So here it is, folks. 9 meatloaves and 8 packages of meatballs. There would have been 9, except Daddy and I got hungry and we snacked on them. One of the advantages of having pre-cooked meatloaves and meatballs is you're never at a loss to send your husband to work with something for lunch, too. This is the Miss Wolfie from Our Half Acre Homestead saying, if you got it, cook it ahead. Makes life so much easier. Take care. Bye-bye.